Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. So in the Bhagavad Gita 5th chapter, we just did the 4th verse. Samkhya yogo prithak bala pravadanti na pandita ekaṁ api asthita samyak ubhayor vindate phalam. Those who are childish or foolish, they say Samkhya and Yoga are separate, are different, are two different things. Na Pandita, not the wise ones. Wise ones don't consider that these two are different. If you follow one, hold on to one, you will get the result, which is the goal of both of them. Now, what is being talked about here? We've already seen this. There are two levels of meaning here. One is the straightforward one, where if you interpret yoga as karma yoga and sankhya as jnana yoga, and therefore to say that karma yoga and jnana yoga are two different projects, they are not two different projects. They are two different stages on the same path. It's like if you want to fly to California or somewhere like that, you need to take a cab from the Vedanta Society to LaGuardia and then take a plane from LaGuardia to California. And it is childish to say that the two are different, that they have different goals or purposes. You hold on to each one when the time comes and you will get the result of both. The result of both is that you get to go to California or wherever you want to go. Now that's the straightforward thing. Practice karma yoga, that gives you purity of mind, and meditation, which gives you concentration of mind. With a prepared mind, with a character formed, one can engage in Vedantic inquiry, which gives us enlightenment. So that's a straightforward thing. And we have heard this over and over again in the 2nd chapter, in the 3rd chapter, in the 4th chapter. But there's a new wrinkle here. What makes it interesting is Arjuna, on Shankaracharya's interpretation, Arjuna is not asking that old question. He's asking that I understand that there is no choice as far as spiritual practice is concerned. All the yogas have to be practiced, whether it is work or whether it is meditation or philosophical inquiry, self-inquiry. They all have to be gone through. But what I'm asking is my choice of the way I live. Do I continue as a householder, as a man in the world, doing the things which I'm doing right now? And yes, I understand. You have told me how I can spiritualize all of this. I understand all of that. But there is a choice, it seems to me, that I can give all this up and become a monk. My whole way of life can change. Remember, at that time already, monasticism was widespread. Even by the time of the Buddha, you see that there were monks of various types in Indian society at that time. And it was understood that if one wanted to be a specialist in spirituality, like a one-pointed, dedicated spiritual seeker, at some point one would give up everything else and throw oneself entirely into spiritual practice. And the monastic life was designed for that kind of project. So Arjuna is asking, again, on Shankaracharya's interpretation, Arjuna is asking here, so do I do this, which I'm doing right now? And I understand how it can be spiritualized. You have told me, karma yoga. Or I can give up householder life and become a monk, a formal monk. In which case, there will be a big difference. Then I would not be living this kind of a life. I would not be fighting this war. I may be, I might be in the mountains. I might be begging for my food and meditating all day long, things like that. I might be doing an entirely different kind of life I will lead. So aren't they two different things? That's why here, if you interpret Sankhya as the life of the monk and yoga as the life of a spiritual seeker in householder life, converting all activities into karma yoga, then this shloka, this verse, takes on a different meaning. He's asking, Krishna is saying that, no, the two are not different. People think they have two different goals. Maybe the householder's goal is a worldly goal and the sannyasi's goal, monk's goal is a spiritual goal. But no, One can be a spiritual seeker. It does not matter what your external circumstances are. One can be a spiritual seeker. He says, ekaṁ api asthita, sincerely following any one path. One reaches the common goal of both paths. So here he's not talking about karma yoga, jnana yoga. Karma yoga, jnana yoga have to be undergone whether you are a monk or you're a householder. Rituals and actions, there's so many secular and sacred actions which you have to perform when you are in the householder life. But equally so, in the monastic life also, there's a different kind of actions, but still actions have to be undergone in monastic life. And you have to come to Vedanta. You have to come to the spiritual, this self-enquiry, whether you are in householder life or you are in monastic life. So that is Sri Krishna's answer to Arjuna's question. And it's an important question. People do think when you're a spiritual seeker, this question does come that, should I formally become a monk? Should I become monk-like? Everybody has to become monk-like, ultimately. If you're a spiritual seeker, inevitably you become some kind of an ascetic. That your external worldly engagements dwindle automatically. I think they dwindle anyway with maturity in life. But if you are consciously seeking enlightenment, that should happen. Now, verse number 5. Same theme continues. Verse number 5. Yat sānkhyaiḥ prāpyate sthānaṁ tad yogair gamyate ekaṁ sānkhyaṁ cha yogaṁ cha ya paśhyati sa paśhyati. So that status which is attained by men of knowledge is also attained by men of selfless action. He sees truly who sees the way of knowledge and that of selfless action as one. Again, one must be able to interpret it at the two levels of meaning. One level where you are interpreting this as jnana yoga and karma yoga. So if you interpret as jnana yoga and karma yoga, the meaning of the verse is what jnana yoga gives you, that enlightenment and moksha. Karma yoga also will give you that through jnana yoga. That is a standard Advaitic approach. Karma yoga will purify your mind, and then through jnana yoga, the way of knowledge, you will get enlightenment. Ekaṁ sānkhyaṁ cha yogaṁ cha. So it is one path. The cab you take from the ashram and the plane you take from the airport, they're all part of the same path you are taking. Ekaṁ sānkhyaṁ cha yogaṁ cha. Jnana yoga and karma yoga are part of the same path. Ya paśhyati, the one who sees this, sa paśhyati, that person truly understands the secret of spiritual practice. Or the second level of meaning, householder or monk. That's the second level of meaning. Then, what the monks attain, that the householders also. Householder means what kind of householder? Spiritual seeker. Look, one thing is there. A monk is by definition a spiritual seeker. Otherwise, one would not become a monk. I mean, any other purpose for becoming a monk would be an insincere thing. So anybody who seriously wants to take up to formal monastic life is obviously has to be a spiritual seeker. There's no other purpose for becoming a monk. There is the purpose of becoming a householder. One may want worldly success and pleasure and just lead a typical worldly life, and that's also the path of a householder, and that's also sanctioned. You see, that's an interesting thing. Religion sanctions it. Every religion has to agree that ultimate enlightenment is an ultimate purpose. It may not be the immediate purpose of most people. So if immediately your purpose is not ultimate enlightenment, will religion abandon? Will you have nothing to do with religion? Of course not. The vast masses of people in every religion, in every society in the world, they are religious in the sense of religious householder. So the thousands of people who queue up in lines before the Hindu temples, or who are praying in the mosques or attend thousands, mega church, Sunday service, mega church, thousands of people. So what are they? They are neither of these two classes. What is being mentioned here, spiritual seeker who has formally become a monk, and spiritual seeker who remains in the householder life. These are two categories who are not part of the conventional run of religious people. So all those who are here, you have to be this second category of persons who are, maybe you're in worldly life, but they're all spiritual seekers. Otherwise, there's no point in studying the Gita as such. Then, ekaṁ sānkhyaṁ cha yogaṁ cha. If you interpret in that way, then in that case, monastic life and spiritual life in the world, both of them lead to the same goal. Ya paśhyati sa paśhyati. The one who sees this truly sees. This question has to be clarified because it's not only in Arjuna's time, Krishna's time, even till today. The moment anybody, I've seen young persons become interested in spiritual life, the parents start, either teasing them or seriously becoming worried. Are you going to become a monk? Are you going to become a nun or something like that? So immediately the thought is that if you're seriously interested in spiritual life, you're going to become a sannyasi. Not necessarily. One may remain in householder life, but be a serious spiritual seeker. So in householders, we're talking about two kinds of householders. So two kinds of people in the world. One is people like those who are here. They are already seekers of spiritual life. They are seekers. Their goal is enlightenment, God realization, whatever you call it, moksha, salvation, nirvana, which is the highest goal in every religion. So that's the goal. You have made up your mind. That's the goal. There is another category of householders who are also religious, but they're not seeking moksha, God realization. They're not seeking that. They're just seeking a good life in this world, and hopefully after death we'll go to heaven. And there may be another category of householders lower than that, that who are not at all interested in any kind of religion, not moksha, not your worldly kind of religion, also nothing. We just are not interested, just committed materialist, this life and this life alone. So that is also possible. This category, 4 categories I've mentioned at different times earlier. So there are 4 ways of classifying people in this spiritual scale. So the categories are pamara, instinctive life, an animalistic instinctive life. Then dharmika vishayi, a worldly person, but religious. Then sadhaka, spiritual seeker. And then siddha, the perfected one, enlightened one. 4 categories. And the names speak for themselves. The pamara means instinctive kind of life, no particular interest in higher life, spirituality, philosophy, nothing of that sort. Even the worldly kind of belief, I will do a little ritual or pray to God, God will help me, that belief is also not there. Just instinctively a pursuit of artha and kama, of pleasure and success in the world. That's it. And so you see a lot of such people. And there, of course, at every level, there are gradations. In this category, there may be a gradation from a complete, let us say, a drug addict who is just living for the next dose of the drug, and that's it. So a complete failure in life and maybe broken down, and, alcoholic or drug addict or something like that. That's the only point, a very instinctive kind of life, just living from one high to another high and like that. Or in this life itself, in this category itself, pamara, instinctive, you might see a pretty sophisticated person, materialist who is who may be interested in the arts and interested in creating a business empire and doing quite well, in the world, pretty successful and happy in the world. But they're all in that same category, one broad range. One thing that characterizes them is no interest in religion, spirituality, belief in God, nothing. No transcendent part. There's nothing transcendent to their life. That's something they may even go out of their way to deny that such a thing is there. It is sometimes necessary if you want to live such a life. An intelligent person will feel like denying the reality of religion and spirituality. Otherwise, an intelligent person cannot live such a life. Then the next level. Why would I say next level? Why not just this? The point is, at this level, what happens is the law of karma operates. And such persons, they pile up so much bad karma that there is suffering in this life. There's so much suffering, they begin to understand it's not working. I need something higher than this. There must be something better. Or maybe they don't have too much bad karma. They may do a lot of good also. So they are generally good karma. But the result of that good karma is that this realization will dawn on them. Is this all of life? Isn't there anything higher? Somehow or the other, by the very grace of God, often through suffering, often through lack of fulfillment, they come to a belief in God. Such a feeling comes that God exists. It may not happen in one lifetime. It might take another multiple lifetimes. So the next level is where the goal is still artha and kama. The goal is still worldly prosperity. The goal is still pleasure in the world, success in the world. And dharma in a strictly restricted Vedic sense, which gives you enough merit to go to heaven after death, which is a continuation of this worldly life. You're having a party, what do you say? Having a blast in this world, and I want to continue having a blast in heaven. So continuous, this thing will continue. I will get enough good karma. So dharma artha kama is the goal of the second category. The second category is a higher category. Why are they a higher category? Because they have a belief in something transcendent. But that belief in something transcendent also helps them to lead a worldly life. The difference between the first category and the second category, pamara and vishayi, dharmika vishayi, is that the pamara is instinctive, is brutal, is troublesome to oneself and to others. The dharmika vishayi is generally an ethical person, tries to be a good person, tries to be a decent person, has some belief in the transcendent. Just that my belief in God will help me in this worldly life. They'll lead a more sustainable worldly life. Let's put it this way. In now modern ecological terms, a more sustainable life, second level. First level, not sustainable. They will exploit everything to get maximum, wring the orange dry for a last drop in this very life right now. That philosophy, what? YOLO, you live only once. That philosophy, first level. Second level is sustainable. What will be good for me in my old age? What will be good for children? What kind of community I want to live? What culture and knowledge should I pass on to the children? What kind of society I want to build? All these things they think about. And I need the blessings of God for all of that. So this is dharmika vishay, second level. They are still pursuing artha and kama, but now one new thing has been introduced, dharma, ethics, religion, morality. That has been introduced. So these are basically, these people, second level, they are the backbone of every society. Civilization cannot exist without them. They are the ones who keep temples and churches and all alive. They are the ones who want to transmit values to community and to next generation, so on. Then comes the third level. The third level is sadhaka. Sadhaka means spiritual seeker, spiritual practitioner. Now the goal is not dharmartha kama. The goal now is moksha, spiritual liberation, God realization. What about dharma, ethics and morality? Earlier dharma was to have a sustainable life in this world and to give me heaven after death. Now dharma is what is called nishkama dharma. Dharma is performed, moral, ethical life is performed without any worldly goals. It is a preparation for spiritual life. Dharma will prepare me for higher spiritual life. Without a moral and ethical foundation, I cannot be a yogi. I cannot be a devotee, a bhakta. I cannot be a jnani. Therefore, I have a moral and ethical life. Without that, I cannot become spiritual. My spiritual life will be injured. So they are called sadhakas. What do they want? They want moksha. Below them, previous level, dharmika vishay, a religious householder or a religious worldly person. What do they want? Dharma, artha, kama. Artha and kama, pleasure and success, but on the basis of morality, within the limits of morality and religion. And before that is the instinctive life. Pleasure and success, that's it. As long as the police or the IRS don't catch you. So that is the primitive level, that the primal or instinctive level. pamara. Then is the religious householder. Then is the spiritual practitioner. That one is, and at every level you can immediately see there is a whole spectrum. There'll be a whole range of people in that level. And then finally, these are the people, the sadhakas, spiritual seekers, who become siddha, who are enlightened. What do they want? They don't want any of this. They don't want dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Shankaracharya sings, na dharmo, na chartho, na kamo, na moksha. Why? Chidananda rupaha shivoham, shivoham. I am of the nature of consciousness and bliss. I am Shiva, I am Shiva. If you have realized that, what more do you want? Nothing. You're perfectly all right. Even spiritual enlightenment you don't want because you've got it already. So this is the range. Now, why am I saying this? Both of these kinds of people, the one who becomes a monk, the one who remains as a spiritual householder, both belong to which category in these four? The third one, sadhaka. Both of them belong to the third one, sadhaka. Spiritual seeker, spiritual practitioner. And again, whole range will be there. There will be people at the bottom of that category who are just moving from worldly, good, ethical, worldly people to becoming committed spiritual practitioners. There are people who are already committed spiritual practitioners for many, many years, and so on. Some of them might want to become monks. Others might want to remain as householders. And Krishna is talking about that. Now we go to what he just said is, these people, if you're a spiritual seeker, that's the most important thing. Whether you remain as a householder, you remain as a prince and do your duty, fight this battle, make it into karma yoga, or if you give up a monk, if you give up everything and become a monk, then in both cases you will reach the same goal. If you, as he says, ekaṁ apyasthita samyak, holding on to one sincerely. Somebody pointed out, I think Krishan pointed out after last class, that is, these are exactly Sri Ramakrishna's words. It does not matter which path you take up, but you have to hold on to one sincerely. So you see, there are two things which may be slightly contradictory. First of all, it does not matter. The path does not matter. If you stop there, then you will be like, I am spiritual but not religious. I am spiritual. I don't bother about any religion or any kind of thing. Then Sri Ramakrishna immediately, he modifies his first statement. He says, you have to hold on to one. The path does not matter, yet it does matter very much. You have to hold on to one sincerely. Ekaṁ api asthita samyak. You have to hold on to one sincerely. All right. Then number 6. Now he'll go further. And in number 6, he will say that, one more thing I've got to add here, O Arjuna. Both are true. It is true. Becoming a monk and remaining a spiritual householder, both will take you to moksha, and both are good. But actually, remaining as a householder and a spiritual seeker in householder life is actually a little better. He's going to say now. Number 6. And there's a reason for that. Sannyasastu mahā-bāho duḥkham āptum ayogataḥ yoga-yukto munir brahma na chireṇādhigachchhati. Important warning. I don't know how many of you it applies, but I have met people who, because I'm a monk and they listen to talks on YouTube and all, there are a small group of people who have actually sincerely, they want to give up and become monks, who are householders already, and they're either retired or for some reason or the other they want to be. So they ask for advice. Here is the advice Krishna is giving directly. He's telling this. What does he say? But renunciation of action, O mighty armed one, is difficult to attain without performance of selfless action. The sage devoted to selfless action attains Brahman quickly. So, sannyasastu mahā-bāho duḥkham āptum ayogataḥ. Without karma yoga, without spiritually preparing yourself first, the life of a dedicated monk is very difficult. It's very difficult to be a monk. Yoga-yukto muni, just the opposite. Yoga-yukto muni, the muni, the sage, who has been purified by the ethical, moral practices and karma yoga. Na chireṇādhigachchhati. Brahma na chireṇādhigachchhati. Brahmadhigachchati means realizes Brahman. Realizes I am Brahman. Achirena, very fast, very easily, very quickly, soon. So here is the point. Krishna is delicately putting this. He has an ulterior motive also. He wants Arjuna to stay and fight the battle. So it is not enough to say both are equally good. Then Arjuna will say, fine, I'll become a monk. Goodbye. And Tata, you fight the battle. Drop me off at the nearest ashram. Krishna is the charioteer. So Krishna says, no, wait. Duḥkham āptum ayogataḥ. Without specific preparations, the life of a dedicated monk is very difficult. It is very difficult to actually follow seriously. So I'm using my words carefully here. What happens is that we do not know how much we depend on many things which are available in the world. Once one becomes a spiritual seeker, like all what Arjuna has become, and all of us are here who have become spiritual seekers, the monastic life at one stage, it looks attractive. Why bother with family and money and house and responsibilities? I understand it is all karma yoga, but why do that? Why not simply go to an ashram or just stay by oneself? So it seems attractive, but it seems attractive only because you have not tried it. I have seen so many of people. We left everything and come to the ashram, and then I have myself done it. Leave the ashram and go into a mountain, and stay there by yourself. If the mind is not prepared, by what do you mean by preparation of mind? Again and again, we say prepare the mind, prepare the mind. What is the preparation of mind? The mind has to be purified through karma yoga, and it has to be concentrated through raja yoga. Karma and upasana, this full course has to be gone through. Otherwise, what will happen is, suppose one becomes a monk, and now you're there in the mountains. Wonderful. At the very beginning, it will seem spectacular. 15,000 feet peaks and 20,000 feet peaks, and it's cool, and in summer at least it's not too uncomfortable, and there are waterfalls, and there are pine forests, and you're all alone, and all you need is 1 hour a day. You have to go out, and even nowadays bhiksha, the alms food which is given, is easily available, at least in summer. In the high mountains there are ashrams which will give monks. So I used to go. You just go there and you sit, you'll be fed. You don't have to cook, you don't have to shop for groceries, you don't have to cook, you don't have to wash the utensils, you don't have to store food from and protect it from mice. There are a lot of mice there, rats in the mountains. Everything is done by the people in the ashram. And there are, religious people who give money to these ashrams to feed the monks. 1 hour a day. So there's a saying among monks there. A monk is an emperor. 1 hour a day, you're a fakir. And 23 hours a day, you are a badshah. 1 hour a day, fakir means 1 hour a day, you are a beggar, because you have to beg for food. And for 23 hours a day, rest of the day, you're an emperor, because you don't want anything from anybody in the world. You're completely free. Great, that sounds great, especially if you don't want anything else from the world. You want just spiritual practice. But very soon, what happens is, the spectacular mountains soon seem like piles of rocks. And it is cold, wind blowing day and night, and just water and ice all around, and dark forests, and nobody to talk to. Talk to is a big thing. You see, all the supports that we have in our life, if they're taken away suddenly, you'll very quickly miss them. It's just miss them not because they're important. Talking to people, having company, newspaper, cup of tea, it's not that they are important at all. They are not at all important. But we have become used to it. We have softened, we have developed these, I will not say bad habits, but they are habits. And if you suddenly deprive the mind of them, you will see the mind is like a mischievous child. It will protest. It will push back. And the way the mind pushes back is very interesting. Suddenly you will find your spiritual practices are not, you're not interested in them anymore. Imagine how difficult it is. You went there to get 10, 12 hours a day, you will do japa and meditation. Suddenly japa and meditation is tasteless. Everything will become problematic. Suddenly the food and the bhiksha, it is so poor and tasteless. Food at home was much better. If I can get some groceries and cook, I can do a much better job. You see how slowly samsara begins to enter. Talking with people. There's nobody to talk to. I know, for 2 months, nobody. Literally, no human being. Once in a day, you'll go, you'll see some human beings. Otherwise, you stay on the other side of the Ganga where the pilgrims are not there. Only monks stay there. Hour after hour, day after day, week after week, you literally not see a human face. And it's a stunning kind of solitude, which is very good if you want it. Thing is, we'll immediately say, yes, we want it. We want that peace. You think you want it. But after some time, so there was a monk, a brahmachari in Benares, who grumbled about, this is a common case in our ashram, we see, who grumbled about so much work. So Swami Turiyanandaji, the disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, was there in Benares at that time. And they said that the brahmachari says, I don't like all these hospitals. This is a big hospital. All this hospital work, day and night, hard work is there. I don't like all this. I came to meditate and study the shastras and all. I want solitude. So Swami Turiyananda said, fine, give him solitude. Give him a room. He will stay in the room. The condition is he has to stay in the room. We will send him food. The food will be put near his doorstep, like being in a cell. Stay in the cell. Stay in the room. And the brahmachari agreed, fine. Brahmachari is a novice. He agreed. He said, good, that's what I want. Of course, Turiyananji knew much better. After a week, 7 days quite a lot, he asked one of the monks, so how is that brahmachari doing? And they went and saw, and they said that, oh, he's talking to the plant outside his window. He's talking to the plant outside his window. People start talking to themselves. They do that because the human company is not there. Nowadays, of course, people are always talking to themselves. It is, because they have got the headsets and phone and all of that. So always they seem to be talking to themselves. Nowadays, it's even worse because we are so connected day and night, you'll miss it. First thing in the mountains, you'll see those connectivity. Tower is not reachable. There's no connection. Disaster. No mobile, no internet, nothing. Then what will happen? So there's no human relationship. No friends. You will begin to miss your enemies also. You begin to see how much of an emotional support enemies also provide. No news. So this becomes a problem if the mind is not purified. When the mind is purified, the same solitude is wonderful. The mind will plunge into thought, into meditation of God. When the mind is not purified, the same solitude will bite you. Literally, these are the words which were warned. A senior monk warned me. I went with the first flush of enthusiasms. I went to the highest possible place, the loneliest possible place, and little ruined, not even a proper hut, ruined hut, log cabin, and I stayed there. Luckily, there was another senior monk staying in a log cabin just opposite mine. 80-year-old monk who had been staying there for more than 40 years in the mountains. So he called me once, young monk, what are you studying? And I'd taken only one book, my favorite, Ashtavakra, the highest non-dual. He saw and he said, okay, that's very good. Then he went inside his hut and he brought out Vishnu Sahasranama, the 1,000 names of Vishnu, which is a very devotional text. And he said, Isko bhi padhiye, please read this also, both. Then he said something interesting in Hindi. He said, nahi to akelapan chubega. Loneliness will, chubega means it will pierce you, like being pierced by a nail or a needle. Literally, loneliness will bite you. Why? The loneliness is, there's nothing no problem outside at all. It's all in the mind. So if you're not human company, you need divine company. So the personal loving relationship you set up with God there. I've told this story earlier also of a monk who was a great non-dualist. All day long, from morning till afternoon, till the sunset, he would translate the Yoga Vasishta. He would stay in a hut near mine. So he would sit outside, spectacular scenery, towering mountains, glaciers running down, and this monk is sitting, and he had a long beard like Gandalf in the Lord of the Rings, and he would translate Yoga Vasishta, which is a very non-dualistic text. And in the evening, it was all dark, and I could hear a plaintive voice in the next hut. He would chant for hours on end. Narayan, Narayan, Srimad Narayan, Narayan, the name of Narayana. I can still hear that voice. He has passed away, that monk. So you see this combination of jnana and bhakti, knowledge and devotion. So, yeah, many problems are there. When suddenly a person is left to oneself without proper preparation, mind is still impure, desires are in the mind. There's a great desire to be free of everything and be alone and meditate on God. But the mind that has not been purified, so those conditionings, the worldly desires are still there in the mind. Once you are left free without any structure, no job to go to, no family to take care of, no even household to take care of, mind is free. What the mind will do is, mind will not automatically run to God. Impure mind will just go back to its own impurities. It will dig out problems from the past. So these monks have nice stories about this. This is a dog, a mangy dog, who had fleas in its coat. And when it would go in the sun, the fleas would bite. So it would run into the shade and would sit down in the shade. But in the shade, it had a virus in the brain, and the virus would start, like they were, in Hindi they say kida, like little insect in the brain, in its mind, it would start biting. And maddened by those, that pain, it would run out into the sun again, where the fleas would start biting. And thus, this is the condition of the impure mind. Go out into the world, problems. Workplace problem, now online workplace problem, family problems, financial problems, social problems, news, enough to infuriate you. Depending on your political views, one group or the other will make you angry all throughout the day. So this is the external fleas which will keep biting you. You give it all up and retreat to the mountains and sit in meditation. None of them are there. But then the internal viruses will awaken then. Desires, frustrations, projects. Once I go back, I will lead my life in this way. I can tell you from personal experience. This is then you start planning a perfect life once you go back to the ashram. Why are you even thinking of it? Why not make the best of what you're doing here? Because the mind is like that. So, impurity, if it's not taken care of, monastic life will be disastrous. It will actually become worse than householder life. Very difficult. That's why in our ashrams, when new brahmacharis come, they're immediately put under a strict structure. We always have a strict structure in the ashram. So strict structure, when do you have to get up? What do you do after getting up? You go and meditate in a group. They're very careful to observe, enforce these things. One monk I know, he was a disciple of Swami Shivanandaji. Very rough old monk. He was not particularly educated. He used to look after the garden in Belur Math. I saw him in his old age, in Swami Nishthananda, which means one whose delight is in dedication, in discipline. He was very disciplined. I saw him in his 80s. He had difficulty in walking, but he would go regularly, early morning, even before we youngsters were there in the temple, at 4 o'clock, before the temple would open. This old monk, which would take him 15-20 minutes to walk from his room, dragging himself to the temple, he would go there. He would sit in meditation. He would start before all us youngsters, and he would be sitting in meditation even when we had gotten up and left. He would go to all the temples, Swami Brahmananda temple, Vivekananda temple, Holy Mother's temple. Everywhere he would go to do pranams. The whole trip would take him maybe an hour or more, because he couldn't walk well. Very simple, but very, very strict. He would scold. I also got nice scoldings from him. So all of us got good scoldings from him. Um, and I remember once he was scolding a brahmachari, novice, for making a mistake. And so the one way of helping a newcomer would be to tell this monk that he's new, he doesn't know, he's new. And it's like, stop scolding him, that he's new. He didn't have this dentures, so his pronunciation would be very cute. In Bengali, new is notun. In Hindi, you say nutan, notun. And he would say lotun, and that means new. And so he was scolding a young brahmachari once, and this old monk, I was also a brahmachari. I went and told him, "Oh, Swami, he's new." And they said, "He's new," hoping that would prevent the scolding. And the Swami, I got the blasting then. He turned to me glaring and he said, "How long will he be new? Kotodin lotun thakbe boli, kotodin lotun thakbe." How long is he going to be new? So this dedication. He stayed in a room, and there was an extra guest bed in that room. So if any visiting monk came, so once a young monk came to the monastery visiting from another ashram, who was put up with this old monk in the same room. And this young monk told me later that I was tired early in the morning when the bell rang for getting up just before 4 o'clock. This old Swami was getting ready to go to the temple. I thought I would just sit in my bed and meditate. I was tired. I'd just sit for some time and then I'd sneak in another nap later on. So I sat in the bed, and the old monk, he glared at me as if he couldn't believe his eyes. Such a big temple right there. What are you doing sitting in the bed? Go. And he glared at me till I got up and dressed, and then I went to the temple. He stood there with unblinkingly glaring at me. Why? What is it? What is the necessity for all of this? This is structure. Then after the meditation, you go for chanting, all together again. Then you go for meals. I don't feel like eating. No, even if you don't feel like eating, we were told, you go and sit there. Just sit there. Be with the monks. Observe the routines. Follow the structure. One senior monk told me, one of the best advice I got when I came to the monastery. The monk told me, follow the bell. Follow the bell. So neither more nor less. From morning till evening, till night, 26 bells in 24 hours. Bell to get up, bell for meditation, bell to take a bath, bell to study, bell to... So it's very rigorous, but you just follow it. You don't have to do more than that. You have to get up at 3:40. Some used to get up at 2:30 in the a.m. in the morning. So you don't have to do that. Just do whatever is said by the bell, but whatever is given in the routine. Some would try to do less. Avoid, and don't do that. What happens is, once you do this, over time, our habits change and the mind gets purified. And slowly, one begins to like meditation. One is happy with a strict routine. It becomes a habit. So one day when you are left alone to yourself, suppose you're staying in the mountains by yourself, you will still get up at 3:30 in the morning. You'll still sit for meditation at 4 a.m. There's nobody to tell you, nobody to ring a bell, nobody to yell at you or glare at you. It's still. So this kind of changing of the conditioning, this requires some initial practice, whether in the monastery or in householder life. Now the life of a dedicated spiritual seeker in the householder life is actually easier because of the structure. You have certain responsibilities imposed on you. You can convert those responsibilities into karma yoga, and it is good. Then what will happen? He gives the opposite case. Suppose the mind is prepared. Yoga-yukto munir brahma na chireṇādhigachchhati. Yoga-yukto, one who has practiced karma yoga, then the conditioning will be changed. Good habits will replace the bad habits. A simple high life will be attractive, naturally so. You will like it. I think I told you the story of the monk. I saw this, terminally ill, dying in the hospital, in the ICU. It's difficult to make out whether it's morning or night or evening. It's all lit up always inside, or slightly dark. But the ICU staff, the doctors and the nurses on duty would notice that this monk who's dying, in a few days he'll be dead. He would get up exactly at 3:40 and he would struggle to sit up in the bed and start doing meditation by 4. How? It is just habit of 40, 50 years. So with the prepared mind, yoga-yukta, then what will happen with the prepared mind? Meditation will seem attractive. Devotion, the love for God will come naturally, not as because the bell has rung, now I have to go and sit and sing. No, that is a preliminary thing. This is what Sri Ramakrishna used to call a fence. A fence is necessary around a plant. When you plant it, a sapling, you put a fence around it. Otherwise, the goats and cows will come and eat it up. But once it grows into a mighty tree, Sri Ramakrishna says, you don't need a fence. You can tie an elephant to that tree also. Nothing will happen to it. So in the same way, the mind has to be purified. Yoga-yukto munir brahma na chireṇādhigachchhati. Such a person will enjoy the silence of the mountains. So I've seen both. I've seen in the mountains, I have seen both kinds. Monks who are whiling away their time, who cannot take the silence, who cannot take the loneliness, and they run away from there, who have gone crazy, mad. Or the other way, who have really used it, wonderful people who enjoy the solitude. This monk I was telling who is to translate the Yoga Vasishta in the morning, and that you'd sing Narayana in the evening. I would go with him once in a while for begging for food. This monk, I would see that he was Punjabi. So there's people from Punjab would come, devotees, both Sikhs and Hindus would come. And the children would gather around him because he had this long beard, and children found it fascinating. And he was very good with kids. He'd laugh and joke. So I said to him once, so you are very happy, like all these people are coming to meet you and all, but you've been here for 40 years now, when in the winter, when there's nobody around, and the snow, it is just snow and ice and howling winds all around. And for 6 months, you don't literally see a human face. And it's cold. It's really cold there. And it's like what is outside is also inside. Then what do you do? And his answer was very interesting. He said, I am in joy now. And then in even greater joy. In Hindi, he said, Ab maje mein hu Mahatma ji, tab aur bhi maje mein rehta hu. So I am very happy in the company of people, and even happier when there's nobody around. So they enjoy solitude. They can talk to you if you go, but if you don't go also, they are happy not to talk to you for days, weeks, months. They can sit by themselves. With eyes open and eyes closed, they are at peace. The opposite is with eyes closed and eyes open, like the dog running into the shade and running into the sunlight, not at peace. The difference is these preliminary practices. That's why in Vedanta they emphasize so much sadhan chatushtaya, vivek, vairagya, the sixfold treasures, and mumukshutvam, the intense desire to be free, the sixfold disciplines, and viveka and vairagya, the discernment between the eternal and non-eternal, and dispassion for the non-eternal. Then let me see, there's a lot of activity going on in the chat before I go on to the next verse. Bill is asking here, Karma Yoga cannot take you all the way. No, remember, we are interpreting in a Vedantic, in an Advaitic structure. An Advaitic structure, do you remember? Karma Yoga gives you purity of mind. Upasana, worship, which is a combination of Bhakti Yoga and Raja Yoga or Dhyana Yoga. It gives you concentration of mind. With a purified mind and a concentrated mind, you come to Jnana Yoga, which is study of Vedanta, Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, the self-inquiry part of it, which gives you enlightenment. So the other yogas prepare the mind, and self-inquiry gives you enlightenment. Enlightenment leads to freedom, moksha. So Jnana Yoga gives you, Shankaracharya is very clear about this. He insists Karma Yoga cannot give you by itself. Just as it is unlikely that you will get to California if you start driving in a cab and then tell you may get to California, but it will be a very difficult way of. It's much better to take a plane. So that is the Advaita Vedanta structure. I'm emphasizing that Advaita Vedanta structure. Why? Because if you see the original verses, they don't clearly mention such a structure. If you literally see what the verse said, if you just literally see, verse number 4. Samkhya yogo prithak bala pravadanti na pandita. It's only children who say that knowledge and like jnana yoga and karma yoga, they are different. Wise people don't say that they are different. Ekaṁ asthitah samyak. If you hold on to one sincerely, ubhayor vindate phalam, you will get the result of both. Now it seems a case could be made. Then in that case, isn't Krishna saying that by karma yoga, if you hold on to karma yoga sincerely, you will get the result? You can either do jnana yoga or karma yoga and get that result of enlightenment. So the structure is not very clear in what Krishna is saying. Krishna seems to have left it deliberately a little vague. You might say, then why even talk of a structure? You have to, because if you want to make sense of the whole Gita, if you want to make sense of all the Upanishads, put it together in one system, then you will see that clearly a structure will emerge. Otherwise, you cannot make sense of it. If ignorance is the problem, then knowledge is the solution. What will give you knowledge? The way of knowledge. That seems to be an easy equation. Why not the way of action? How can the way of action give you knowledge? Inquiry leads to knowledge. Self-inquiry leads to self-knowledge. And therefore, way of knowledge will give you self-knowledge. How can actions, no matter how good, lead to self-knowledge? So that kind of question will come up. And so you in Advaita Vedanta, you have a clear structure. But notice the original verses, Gita and Upanishads, are vague enough or are open-ended enough that you can have different structures. And that's why other schools of Vedanta come in. Vishishta Advaita gives you a different structure, puts bhakti in there at the top. So yes, there's no straight answer to your question, but the answer is, if you're talking from an Advaitic perspective, if you ask a question, can Karma Yoga not take you all the way? Advaita will say, very clear answer, no, it cannot. There, if you press the question that, but the verse does not say so exactly. There are other verses in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says to Arjuna, Janaka and others, other great kings and princes, they have reached perfection by work. Karmana eva sansiddhim asthita janakadaya. By work alone, karmana eva, by work alone, by activity alone, there are people like Janaka and others who have reached perfection. Now, what does Shankaracharya do there? He says perfection there means perfect purity of mind. And then with perfect purity of mind, you come to Vedanta class and that will give you enlightenment. You can do that if you want. The original verses, however, are much more open-ended that way. You can fit different structures. You need a structure. Otherwise, questions will remain. What is the nature of the problem? What is the solution? What are we doing here? So Bill Conrad, he wrote an email to me after last Wednesday's class, Vedanta Sar class. And his email, I'll read it out to you. It's interesting. I was thinking of discussing it in the next Vedanta Sar class. Maybe I'll do that also. But the question he asks me is, so Bill is asking, while listening to today's lecture, it's Wednesday, the question occurred to me, in what way do these intellectual arguments help me in my spiritual life? Do they make my mind better able to meditate? Or do they only help me to think more clearly? Please answer this question in the next class, as I'm sure I'm not the only one who has thought this. Respectfully yours, Bill. So yes, why is this question coming up at all? It's because Bill has a different structure in his mind. So when you talk about the Buddhist concept of the self and the Prabhakara Mimamsa concept of the self, this school and that school, All that seems superfluous to him. The clue is in the next question he asks, will it help me to meditate better? So if you interrogate Bill, so what is your idea of spiritual life? What is your what is it that you're trying to achieve in spiritual life? He will say something like, by meditation I will realize God, something like that. So he has a structure. The problem then is the restlessness of the mind, and the solution is the calmness, serenity of the mind, the one-pointedness of mind. Then the method is meditation. That's a structure which I can infer from his questions. In that structure, studying Vedanta Sara and all the different schools of philosophy seems superfluous. Maybe it will just help him to think in a little different way. But then thinking better, even science can do that, help you to think more logically. No. Vedanta Sara, what we did in the Wednesday class, they have a very clear structure. Only if you accept that structure, then all of the rest makes sense. So everywhere there is a structure. In the path of jnana, what is the problem? What is the solution? The problem is ignorance of the reality, which is already there. Solution is knowledge of the reality. Then the sadhana or the practice will be jnana yoga, shravana, manana, nididhyasana, very clear. It will be an investigation into who am I. Then what the Buddhists thought of it, what the Mimamsakas thought of it, all of that will be pertinent. Whereas in the path of meditation, the problem is not ignorance as such. The problem is the restlessness of the mind. There is ignorance, and the knowledge is required for that. In Patanjali Yoga Sutra, that is there. But the prime problem is the restlessness of the mind. So the method will be to calm down the mind, chitta vritti nirodha, and the knowledge will come by itself. So the emphasis has to be on calming down the mind. But that's the yogic approach. The devotee will come and tell you all this is superfluous, too difficult, and probably unnecessary. So, probably unnecessary. God exists. The problem is you don't have faith in God. Have faith in God. Surrender to God. Love and worship and adore God. Your problem will be solved. Whatever is necessary, God will do for you. Perfectly all right. But that's a different structure. So these structures are important. You have, even if you say that I don't want these structures, I'm just going to do what my guru told you, that's a structure. And if you have been initiated in the Ramakrishna Vivekananda tradition, then the guru who has given you a mantra, who has taught you how to meditate, surely would have told you that bhakti is important, Vedantic study is important, service is important. All of those things are, it's part of our tradition. No guru will tell you only you have to repeat the mantra and that's it, it's finished. No. Dimitri. So he's struck with the core question, is the self-aware without the mind or any object? This question has to be broken down carefully. Not pertinent here today, but it's a fundamental question. What do you mean by self-aware? What we normally mean by self-aware is, am I thinking about myself? In that sense, we are not self-aware most of the time. So Dimitri, you have to think about this. What exactly is self-awareness? One kind of self-awareness would be the reflexive awareness of oneself, introspection. I'm aware of my own mental states. I'm aware of my own existence. Consciously, deliberately looking inwards. That we don't do all the time. We often don't do it. We sometimes do it. If you are fully engaged in some activity, maybe you are a neurosurgeon performing an operation, or you're playing tennis and you're completely absorbed in it. Mihai Csikszentmihalyi says, in flow state, the mind is so absorbed in it that you lose awareness of the self. That I am somebody doing a particular action. It often happens to us. A child absorbed in play, not even aware of one's own individual self-existence. Is that what you mean by self-awareness? Or just awareness, bare awareness?
So, yes, the reason why I was asking this question is that it seems like there is a role of a mind in the whole game of enlightenment. And the mind is essentially almost like because I am perceiving my thoughts, the objects, etc., hence I am aware.
Right.
So, but if there is no mind,
right,
no objects,
right,
like it's very difficult to express it in words, but essentially, is this the supreme self? Like I understand its existence, its consciousness, and its bliss. Existence is clear, bliss is clear, consciousness without any objects. What does it mean?
So that's where you have to distinguish consciousness from consciousness of something. In philosophy, modern philosophy, it is called intentional consciousness. Intentional means not about having an intention. It's about being about something else. So generally, consciousness is about, thoughts are about something. Now, the question being asked in Vedanta is, if you drop the something, is awareness still there? It's a simple way of looking at it. I am aware when I'm looking at you. Suppose I don't see you and I shut down my eyes. Am I still there? I would say yes. Take that a little further. I shut down all my sense organs. Am I still there? I would say yes. Then my thoughts, the verbally formed thoughts which I'm having, suppose I shut those down also. Am I still there? Well, probably I'm still there. Suppose I shut down all kinds of memories and ideas and even the sense of ego, would I still be there? If you continue that trajectory which you have started, if you can clearly see the difference between consciousness and all of these functions, you would have to admit that consciousness is still there, but it's just not doing anything. There's nothing going on there, but that awareness is probably there. A Madhyamaka philosopher, the kind of which we are talking about last time and we'll talk next time, Shunyavada, the Nagarjunian kind of philosopher, would take what you have said and immediately prove the emptiness of both concepts, self and mind. You are asking, only when the mind is active do we have a sense of ourselves as conscious beings. I'll repeat that. Mind is thinking something. Then only we are aware of not only the mind, but immediately reflexively of ourselves as conscious beings aware of the mind. We may verbalize it, we may not verbalize it. We may notice it, we may not notice it, but we become subjects and there is an object. Immediately Nagarjuna will say they're mutually dependent. They rise and fall together. If this is, that is. And if that is, this is. And then they are both empty. They are not independently real of each other. That is the very definition of shunyata, according to Nagarjuna. And they're both empty. What does Advaita Vedanta say to that?
Yes.
Advaita Vedanta, first of all, the Sankhyan approach, if you take, Samkhya says consciousness is independent and nature, from the grossest physical nature to the subtlest part, that is the mind, is an independent entity. And when they interact, you have conscious experience. But when they don't interact, consciousness remains by itself without any conscious experience. And external nature also remains by itself, gives no conscious experience to that subject, but other subjects keep on interacting with it. It's a pretty realistic way of looking at the world, actually. Advaita Vedanta takes that one step further. Imagine then if that external universe up to the mind were nothing but the product of consciousness itself, or with the appearance of consciousness itself. So the mind is not a second apart from consciousness on which it is depending to sort of bootstrap itself. It is one of the glories of consciousness itself, which it uses, let us say, to generate this subject-object experience. But without it also, without subject-object experience, the same consciousness continues, which we have in deep sleep or samadhi. Yeah. You just leave it right there. Let me go through the other questions. Pradeep Bose asks, is karma yoga a necessary part of the path to realization? Yes. Someone living close to the airport may not need a cab. You're right. There would be some people who are highly qualified. At some point, the very fact that by karma yoga one gets purity of mind, then it means that there are some people who have purity of mind, maybe a very few. It is true. There are people who have attained the necessary purity of mind. folks, especially monastic sadhakas, luckily enough to have holy company from an early age, supported by inborn good samskaras, may be able to board the Jnana Yoga plane right away. No, a few might be, like Totapuri, for example. So Totapuri did not have much sympathy for other people, But as Swami Sarvapriyananda mentions in his biography of Sri Ramakrishna, Totapuri did not realize it's by the grace of the Divine Mother. He was born with such good samskaras. From the childhood, he found holy company. He had such a good mind and such a good health to take that kind of a rigorous life, a life of austerity and meditation and study. And so he straight away enters into a perfect monastic kind of life. It's true. But monastic organizations, not just Vedantic, all monastic organizations, Hindu, Buddhist, Christian, they have this wisdom with them, that they know that those who are coming to monastic life, many of them will not be fully prepared for monastic life. So a kind of structure is very much necessary, which will replace the structure of householder life. That's why ashram work. Ashrams put on a very strict structure. Once you enter a monastic life, there are even the rules of sannyasa are for whom? Those who have become monks to become enlightened, not already enlightened. So become monks to become enlightened. If they already have the qualifications, that life will be easy for them. If they don't have the qualifications, not yet, but they already become a monk, then they'll have to struggle with those practices, with those disciplines, with that structure, till they attain the necessary qualification. I know even till today, it's a fact. Swami Bhuteshanji also said that when he wanted to go away into the mountains and meditate by himself, leaving the ashram, Swami Shivanandaji told him, very good, you will go, but prepare yourself first. Prepare yourself first means what? Prepare yourself in the ashram first. Intensely austere life, speaking less and less, or not interacting with people, keeping your mind on God, regardless of whatever is happening in the world outside. When the mind is prepared like that and is focused inward, introverted, go to an environment like the Himalayas or somewhere, or in Narmada or one of those holy places, you can live very well. We were also told that I was myself told by a wise monk. When the first time I left, I was like, I'm going and I'm not going to come back. So a wise old monk said, oh, don't say things like that. You go. And he was the one who was my head in the ashram. So he had the authority to say yes or no. So he said, you go for 2 months. And then at the end of 2 months, if you think that more is good for you, you can stay like that in the mountains and you're really progressing spiritually. Write to me, I'll give you 2 more months. But if you feel, be honest, if you feel that that's it, now it's becoming very humdrum and I'm not making spiritual progress, then come back to the ashram and work here. Stay in the ashram and stay with us and work. Once in a while, you can go there. So that's a much wiser course for more average people like us. There might be a person who might go. Holy Mother said to some of the monks that, Naren and Rakhal, Vivekananda, Brahmananda, they don't need these monasteries and ashrams. They have started it for you young boys who are coming. They are people who can remain absorbed in samadhi. So they don't need ashrams and monasteries and even the work. All this is good for you. That's why he has started it. Pravir Babu is asking, in the path of jnana, can the goal be moksha since we are liberated? Isn't the goal removing ignorance? Yes, that is moksha. In the path of jnana, you're correct. The precise goal in the path of jnana is generating knowledge that we are Brahman. And so moksha is ever there. That's why in Vedanta they say praptasya prapti. What you already have, you get that. Then you say, but you remove ignorance, right? But ignorance was also never really there. So what was never there is removed, and what was always there is attained. It's crazy, Advaita Vedanta. Vishwanathan asks, regarding the 4 classifications of people, there are individuals who live ethical, materialistic lives but are completely atheistic, agnostic. They can sometimes make a jump to the sadhaka level due to suffering. True. encouraged by the fact that Advaita is more friendly than conventional religion to agnostics, atheists. That is true. Many people I've seen coming to Advaita who are otherwise not interested in conventional religion, but they make the jump. But they were generally good people. It's difficult to make a jump from being an absolute villain and then becoming a Buddha, straight away from scam or a Ponzi scheme and then become a Buddha, something like that. No, that's difficult. There are a few examples by the very grace of Guru or by the grace of God. A robber becomes, or dacoit becomes a spiritual seeker. A few examples are there. And there are sadhakas who are unethical, and even those who are atheists. So Sam Harris is an atheist. Yes, I don't know about Sam Harris, but literally atheist, then all Buddhists in that sense would be atheistic. Theistic means believing in a personal God. So Buddhist or a Jain, for example, is atheistic in the sense that they don't believe in a personal God. But they are definitely spiritual seekers. Gabriel says, Sam Harris seems to be very concerned with ethics. Yes, certainly. Rick says, true, these categories can be mixed every which way. Yes, and to some extent, the categories are not airtight. Are you saying Sam Harris is unethical? No, Sam Harris is not unethical. Nirjhari says, can one not be just a sadhaka but also have a clear goal of moksha? Can one not just be a sadhaka but not have a clear goal of moksha? Yes, one can be. One can be completely devoted to God and not particularly concerned with the theological aspects of what exactly is moksha. I just love God, and that's why. One can be like that. All right. Gita Devi is asking, is Lord Krishna talking about sadhana chatushtai here? Without preparation, the mind is difficult to control. It will come next. Sadhana chatushtai is being talked about actually. Ramya says, Swamiji pranams, with today's class, I think we have begun to appreciate the importance of Atmano Mokshartham Jagatitaya Cha. Yes, welfare of the world and one's own liberation. The two are not two separate goals. It's actually the same philosophy. It's good that you have noticed it. The same philosophy, Samkhya and Yoga, sannyasa and grihastha. In another way, the welfare of the world and one's spiritual enlightenment. They're not separate things. Like Jesus says that love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and all thy might. That's one. But also love thy neighbor. So two things are always given there. Okay, let us stop here. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.